Hey, welcome to another episode of Kevin's Podcast. Once again, I'm back in the kitchen, y'all. Been out the loop for about 2 months, with the holidays, celebrating my 49th birthday, Thanksgiving with the family. So I'm getting back in here towards the end of the year, getting prepped to go into 2023. So I say, no better way to bring 2023 in with a new podcast, a new frame of thinking, and a new positive attitude as we go, as Kevin's Podcast going into 2023. So let's go ahead and get the legal disclaimers out the way. Anything I say on my podcast is for entertainment purpose only. It's never for reflection on anybody or towards anybody. It's just simply my thoughts and for entertainment purpose only. Now that we got the legal stuff out the way, let's get at it, y'all. Welcome, man. Welcome, everybody. I know y'all ain't seen me a minute. People been hitting me up. Kevin ain't seen nothing new from me. Hey, like I said, I took a minute, spent some time with the family, just get re-energized. Had a lot of stuff going on, but I'm back in the kitchen. What I love to do is cooking, okay? Gonna bring y'all something real tonight before we go into 2023. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. It's gonna give you something to think about. It really is gonna give you something to focus. But let me talk about what we're cooking tonight before we go into this, the topic. I got some asparagus over here behind me. I got some steak. I got some shrimp, because my son loves shrimp. So I'm cooking a little shrimp, asparagus, and some steak, because I love this steak. So that's what we're doing tonight in the kitchen. But let me go ahead and hit you with what we're talking about tonight to go ahead and get this thing in the floor thing. So I was showing my producer a clip from YouTube Reel with Bernie Mac, and it was funny. It's funny, but it's so real. So real. So real to what I'm talking about tonight. It's talking about us as minorities, black people, any other race, but especially my black people, okay? Let me just put a disclaimer out there. I got friends, great friends, people that I served in the military that we're like brothers. They call my mama mama, I call them my mama. So I have that type of relationship with different people from different cultures, different ethnic groups. So by no means am I prejudiced by saying I'm talking to really focusing on black people tonight in the topic I'm talking about, because that's not me. I served 23 years in the Army. Again, I got friends like brothers, like literally, I would go to war for their kids. They would do the same for mine. But I just want to bring something to you tonight as we go into 2023, and talking about us uniting as one. And I know there's been plenty of people before my time, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, so many great people have talked about the unity of black people. But lately, for the last couple of months, there's been a lot of discussion in my office and people I've talked to, and just talking about why we cannot pull together and unify as a black people and be successful and prosperous. I heard Steve Harvey talking about it, and even on my brother's podcast, a lot of people talking about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State, going to, Colorado University. But I heard Uncle Steve say something, and I listened to him a lot. He said, we the only race of people that feel like we put a lot on everybody else but ourselves, that we got to carry everybody just because of that you done made it, that person owe you a whole lot. That's not true. He said, white people don't look at black people as you owe me something, that you got to carry me. Now, if I'm in a position to help my people, me personally, that's just me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people. Tyler Perry had opened the door to a lot of black people. Steve Harvey hires a lot of people. A lot of other people that I can name tonight have made it, and then brought people, picked them up and brought our people along with them, gave them jobs, gave them opportunities to be on the big screen, to be on radio, to be on different things. But we as blacks, we just don't stick together. We rather tear each other down than to build each other up. And I go back to this phrase, crabs in a barrel, right? And I was talking to my brother about it the other night when we get ready to shoot this podcast. And I was telling him that I heard my elder talk about it one Sunday on church. She was preaching. It was one Sunday afternoon. And she said the phrase crab in a barrel, black people use it, say we just like crabs in a barrel. We pull each other down. But when you take crabs and put them in a natural environment, their claws are used to propel each other forward against the current when they're going upstream on the ocean floor. And so when you take crabs out of their natural environment and you put them in a barrel, when they pulling each other down, they still thinking that they are in their natural environment. Eventually they'll realize that they're not in their natural environment, but that's what it is. So we take something like that, and we take that cliche, that saying, and we use it in a negative way when it's really again, if you understand the origin where that phrase came from and what it really means, it's positive. And we do that too many times. I heard Uncle Steve say if you take a grasshopper and you put him in a mason jar, he gonna keep jumping, hitting his head on the top of that mason jar. I remember him talking about this, and it had significant meaning to me. You put this grasshopper in there, he's gonna keep jumping. And after a while, he's gonna realize, once if I jump this high, I'm gonna keep hitting my head. So each time he started bringing it down and bringing it down. He's not jumping as high as he was before, because he realized after so many times hitting the top of that lid of that mason jar or that jar, he's not getting anywhere and he's hurting himself. So then he reduces it. So a lot of times we do that to ourselves. We'll put each other in a jar instead of leaving the jar open so we can elevate, so we can go to new heights instead of tearing each other down. It's amazing to me how we do that. As I go on this podcast, I'm gonna tell y'all about some experiences I had, especially in the workplace. So a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to one of my brothers. He's from Jamaica, one of my work partners. He retired military, like myself, and we were very close. So we was going out to our government cars one morning, as we always do, as we get ready to get on the road, because we do a lot of traveling in my job. And in the office, we had started a conversation, and then me and him continued the conversation, and we walked down. We stayed in the parking lot while our cars were warming up. He said, Kelvis, you know what the difference between black people that are born in America and black people that comes from Jamaica, from the island St. Thomas and different islands, and even Ghana and different countries in Africa and in the Caribbean islands, is when we come to this country, we already know we at a disadvantage. So we pull together. Jamaicans, and I'm using Jamaicans as an example because it's a close friend of mine, and I know I can use this example. He said, well, I come to this country, my parents come to the country, and they brought us over here. They came over here to be successful. They came over here and learned, hey, I got to grind, I got to work hard. We got to pull together because we're a minority. Our culture is not here. Our culture is back in Jamaica, but we came over to this country for a better life for our kids and better life for ourselves. So we are tight knit. When we come into this country as a minority, as a Jamaican, as a black, as we would classify them as an ethnic group, they pull together, they tight. They're very, very tight. They put their kids in the best school. And that's what he told me. He said, we put our kids in the best school. We force education on our kids and instill that into them from a little kid, that education is the key. And we just build on that because we want them to grow up and be successful and have more than we have. He said, when y'all born in this country and y'all tear each other down, y'all don't pull together. And if y'all know as well as I do, every other, seem like other race that comes to this country, they pull together. Prime example, there's been a lot of stuff talking about the Jews lately. From the music industry, from Kanye West, talking about the Jews on the record labels. There's a whole lot of stuff about the Jews in the news lately. But I watched a podcast with Shaq, and he has a Jew friend when he came in the NFL and he started making his money. And some of y'all might be familiar with this. He had a guy that was mentoring him. That was a Jew. And this one thing I stand out on this podcast that he was that I was watching that the guy was talking to, Shaq was talking about the guy. It was that he said every time one Jew make money, 6 other Jews make money. And it stayed in my mind. And I was telling my producer, when I'm 2023, this is Kelvis. Going into 2023, if we are not talking about, and when I say money, I'm not always talking about the physical money. I'm talking about spiritual enhancement and enhancement of ourselves. If somebody not pouring into me and I can't pour into them, and we can't sit down and discuss ideas how to better ourselves and better our race to make a lot better for our kids and to be prosperous, hey, we ain't got nothing to really talk about, to be honest with you. Because I'm tired of seeing our people tear each other down and not be able to pull together. We not better than any race, but we some smart people. Many of y'all didn't know, and I didn't know this until recently. Africa, and I don't know which country this was, so don't hold me to this. But some of the Africans was brought from, slaves were brought from Africa over to, especially South Carolina. They call it Geechee, the little islands of the outlays of South Carolina. They weave rice into their hair, the women. Weave rice, and I didn't know this. Now, I don't remember what country it was in Africa that they came from, so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I remember. But I remember looking at a clip, and they said they weaved the rice into the women's hair. So when they got to South Carolina, they took the rice and they started growing it. I said, wow, I never knew that. We are some smart, very intelligent people. So why is it that we tear each other down? I don't know. But we're going to continue this talk because I'm going to get this food ready, and we're going to continue this conversation as I prep this food. All right, y'all. So I done started prepping my food. Sometimes I do a little pre-prep, especially when doing my. All depends on what mood I'm in. All right. So I got some asparagus. I done cut some of them up. About to finish these up right here. But yeah. So, and another thing that kind of have bothered me, being a black man and a father, is the high number of single mothers that we have out here in the black community. And I actually did a little research that I'm gonna get to in a little bit. Okay, so I put a little. This time I did a little seasoned salt, y'all. Sea salt on them. So when I put them in there with the, I got some butter over here on the back side over here. When I cook them with the butter, with the garlic and everything, it's already got a little sea salt on it. Just it gives a little flavor to it, and with the garlic butter that I'm about to use. Okay, so over here, y'all, I got me some. You know, I'm kind of lazy tonight, so I swung by Walmart. I got me some people call it Trinity. It's onions, peppers, and I normally cut them up myself. But tonight, I said, hey, I'm just going to grab something already cut up just to make things a little smoother for me. So I got those. So I'm going to saute those in a little bit, okay? So over here on this side, I got some shrimp because I got my son with me now. He's in the background, y'all, Kevin Jr., and he loves shrimp like no tomorrow. As people say the phrase in the country, he loves shrimp better than Peter loved the Lord. So, and I got 2 ribeye steaks over here that I done seasoned up, let the season sit on a little bit. So I have everything prepped. I got all my silverware. I got my pots laid out. Over here, I got my mixed garlic. I got the seasoning for my steak. You can use anything you want to. Now, I bought this butter here. It's got the garlic herb. I'm going to be using that tonight to kind of cook my meat and stuff in. Then I got the Old Bay to put on the shrimp. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of just something simple tonight. I didn't want to be, try to keep it simple. Nothing complicated about my cooking. I try to keep it simple and try to keep it healthy. You know, a little vegetable, a little meat, a little saute, this and that. You know, just keep things flowing, okay? So, but I want to go to my phone and my producer don't mind because I wanted to share this. Single mothers within the Black and Hispanic community. This is as of this year, 39% of the Black mother, Hispanic mothers, or 29% are single without the father in the home, meaning that the biological father is not in the home raising the kids. And I bring that point up is because, again, I'm talking about the unity of the Black community and the Black people. When you don't have, and let me just say this, there's a lot of reasons why the father may not be in the home. Some of them may be incarcerated, you know, the relationship or situationship, as I've talked about on my podcast, didn't work out, divorce, whatever the case may be. I'm not here to judge anybody. What my point is we gotta, as a people, we gotta realize the Black family, the nucleus of the Black family, it ain't the same back in many, many years ago. My great grandmother and them, Lucy Burns and them, and my grandma Vonnie V. Tan and them. It's not the same. A lot of the fathers are not in the home anymore. A lot of y'all mothers are out here having to do both jobs. And no discredit, my mother raised me. My father wasn't really a part of my life. So that's why I always vowed that I would be a part of my kids' life, whatever it took to make sure that I played a part in my children's life. So my hat and hands, or as they say in the country, my hat is tilted to the mothers that have raised their kids on their own with grandma, big mama, and aunties and great aunties and uncles and cousins that have helped. It takes a village to raise a kid. I know I come from Faith, North Carolina, and I had a lot of people had a hand in the part of me raising me up. But when the father's not in the home, statistically, it leads to problems. I feel like my mother did a great job raising me, but there's certain things that I didn't learn until I was grown, because and certain things I got from my uncle and them that when they was around. But there's certain things a woman can't teach a man. I can't raise a girl. I can only raise a girl in my image of what I think a woman should be, and vice versa. A woman raised a lot of the young men in the image that they think a man should be. And that's how my mother raised me. She raised me with the value that she felt that was necessary or was important to her that a man should be, which is nothing wrong with that. Some of the greatest teachers are women, and vice versa. Some of the greatest teachers are men when it comes to their daughters. But it's still, those roles have a role for a reason. There's a reason there's a mother, and there's a reason there's a father. And when you look at the stats and when you look at the statistics in the black community, I didn't look at any other race. So, if somebody come back and say, well, it's just as high as, I don't know. I didn't look. I just particularly was looking at our race in Hispanics. It's very high. It's a very high rate. And, we got to do better as a black race. I'm not saying stay in a relationship because you've been abused or you've been cheated on and all those things, but you still can be co-parenting. You still can work together to raise the child where the child knows that the mother and the father loves them and that each one of them is bringing a certain aspect to the child's life. That's my whole point of bringing up those statistics, especially in our community. Hey, y'all, I'm about to put these steaks on. About to throw them in this. I done put the butter in there. Yes, sir. You can hear it. Hear that sizzle? Yeah. You hear that sizzle. I'm going back to the point that I left off about the black woman being a part of strong. We say that strong down in the country where I'm from. Part of the family dynamics. My great grandmama, she was the matriarch of our family. She kept us going. I tell people the story all the time. My grandma could shoot better than most men. We grew up, down in the country, hunting rabbits, deers, that type of stuff. And my grandma Lucy and my aunt Mildred, my great aunt Mildred, all of them can shoot shotgun better than most men can. But again, I think that to go back to relationships, because a lot of my podcasts do talk about relationships, to tie it into what I'm talking about. A lot of time we get mad and we break up and we divorce and a lot of time we don't look at the impact, how it affect our kids. And I'm talking about both sides. I'm talking about the woman and the man. And even if you can't stay together, like I said earlier, you got to be able to co-parent. You got to be able to have a working relationship where you can coexist together and raise your kids. It's just what it is. Because we're doing a disservice to our young kids. Now, what I'm about to do right now, y'all, I'm about to go ahead and throw these onions and stuff in this pan, get them caramelized, okay? And I know I'm talking a little, I'm having a little fun with it. We're talking about this podcast when I'm cooking. But on a serious note, I think that it's very important that we maintain a relationship. Even though those times when we're not with the mother of our kids, men and women, when you're not with the man of your kid, I'm gonna throw a little bit of this on here. I'm doing something different, y'all. I'm gonna throw a little bit of this on here. See what that come out to be. I ain't putting much, y'all. Just put a little teaspoon of it in there. So what I'm doing, I'm just moving this around. Just letting it cook down. Turn the temperature down a little bit. Get my pan. I'll put it in one of these containers here. So, how many people here heard about the Jim Crow method of thinking? And when I was thinking about doing this podcast, I went online and I actually pulled up the Jim Crow laws or philosophy or thinking process. And it's crazy to me that in modern times, we do it to ourselves. He gave them a blueprint to how to keep us separated. And I remember watching a couple of movies. Django comes to mind when the slave ran away and they caught him and they took him and tied him and they beat him. It took a lot of time the biggest, strongest black slave and they broke him. So the rest of them have an example to follow, not to run away, not to leave. And it divided us by and this is history. This is nothing new. You know, they made it with our black women and light skinned women or light skinned kids was put in the house. They called them the house niggers, if I could say that. And they them against the black people, the dark skinned, the black people like me. I'm dark skinned. I'm caramel. I might be a little caramel, okay? But we was the field. We wasn't in the house. So they made this light skinned black people feel that they were better than the hand filled people. See, for a long time, we've been divided. And we continue to be divided in so many ways. Man, I'm telling you, you can smell this right here with this butter. Lord have mercy. I'm gonna bring, if you just smell this smell, you see that steam, look at that, how they caramelizing. See, I got my word right that time. I didn't go country on you. I went ahead and got a little English like I got a little sense. See how I did that right there? So I'm gonna leave that on for, if you can smell it, Lord have mercy, it smells so good. I'm gonna leave that on for about 30 more seconds. I'm telling y'all, we have got to figure it out and pull together. We got to learn that buying phones and buying cars and buying expensive clothes, that ain't it. If you ain't got no land, you don't own some land, if you don't own but a half-acre land, if you ain't got, get your half-acre, get you some trailers, buy you some couple used trailers, fix them up, rent them out. If you're not getting your credit straight, getting your credit score squared away, getting that negative stuff off of, raising your credit score, you don't have your 2 credit cards, and maybe you got to do like I did. At one time, I had to file bankruptcy. I'm going to tell you about Kelvin. I had to file bankruptcy. I had to do a lot of things. But what I did was I got me 2 credit cards. I put $500 down, secured my own credit card, start rebuilding my credit. That's the frame mind we got to think about, how we got to think. I'm telling y'all, you got to think like that. Own some land. Come together, 3 or 4 of y'all, put you a couple $1,000s together and buy you a piece of land and maybe a house, abandoned house on it. Fix it up. It may take you 6 months, a year to fix that house. But the thing of it is, it's yours. And you fixing it up, now you got value. You own the house. Now you can go to the bank and say, I got this house sitting on a half-acre land, and you done fixed it up, got it livable. It may be worth $160,000. Tell the bank, well, I want to borrow 80, and I want to go buy another piece of land. They're going to lend you that money. They're going to lend you that money. Believe me when I tell you, they're going to lend you that money. That's where I'm at in 2023, y'all. That's where I'm at. Turn these stakes down a little bit. That's where I'm at, is uplifting, empowering us. I mean, I listen to Steve Harvey. I listen to The Breakfast Club. I listen to a lot of the people that have come on there. They talk about black enterprise, black businesses, and how to build black businesses, and how to buy real estate, how to different things. I listen to all that because I want to learn. Because I'm still learning myself. I'm not above anybody. I've made some mistakes on my credit in my military career, and made a lot of mistakes. Now you see what I did here was I put that butter on top of here. I'm going to take it off there, let y'all see that. See that? And all I'm doing is taking that butter, and all I'm doing is putting it on top of it. That's all I'm doing. And I done cut these steaks down so they can slow cook. And matter of fact, I'm going to put a little bit more butter on there, so y'all can really see what I'm doing here. Now you can do it different ways, but this is just me. I used to work for Golden Corral back when I was younger, and that's how I really learned how to cook steaks and different foods, in a restaurant type environment. Just getting an old paper towel because I want to kind of get this grease here. So, hey, these right here ready, y'all. Y'all see that? See that brown? That's what you want. And you can smell them. They smell so good. So I'm just going to pour these in this little container I have here. And I'm not even gonna clean it. All right. Now you can clean it if you want to. You can wash it, but I want that flavor to be in these shrimps I'm about to put on. So I put some more butter in there. Pour this water, because I wash my shrimp. I soak them. But one, they were frozen. And I'm just gonna dump them in there. Go and hit them with this old Bay. Just a little bit. I don't like my shrimp to be too salty. And plus that butter got salt on them as well. So I'm just gonna do them like that. Let them sit there and cook in that seasoning it from this right here. Go ahead and sit this over here and put my top on it. It's good to go. So going back to the Jim Crow, as I was saying earlier, it was a recipe. It was a blueprint to divide us, and it's been a blueprint even to this day to keep us divided. You know, I could talk to y'all till I'm blue in the face, share all the facts that I can share with y'all. These are my personal opinion, my personal view, my personal experience in life. All these steaks, boy, they look good. They just right. Now I'm gonna take them off. I'm gonna just show y'all. You see them steaks? They big. They still got a little more cooking to do because I like my medium well. But yeah, they almost done. I'm turn the oven up just a little bit because I'm gonna put this asparagus in there in just a few minutes. Life has a lot of challenges, y'all, without a doubt. I mean, we go through stuff every day, hardships, ups and downs. But sooner or later, hopefully, we'll learn as black people, as a race, how to really come together. And so on this podcast, I've sent it to my producer already. So I'm gonna paraphrase this for y'all because I think it's kind of funny. It's funny, but it's when you see it on my podcast, it's very deep. So Bernie Mac said they went up him, a white guy, and a Hispanic dude. Said they went up to the gate. Said sure enough, God was sitting there reading the National Enquirer. So basically they said, well, God, if we ask you a question and we get it right, can we get into heaven? God said, yeah. And I'm paraphrasing now. So the white guy came up to God and said, God, who discovered America? He laughed and said, Christopher Columbus. Dang, I got to go to hell. Spanish dude came up, Spanish. Yeah, papi, father, I know I got one for you. How many was in the Beatles group? He laughed. Bernie Mac said, I know that question. Gave the answer. He said, but God, I got a question for you. He nicked at Bernie, Bernie nicked at him. He nicked at Bernie, Bernie nicked at him. So he go over with whistle. You know what the question Bernie Mac asked? He said, God, when are black people gonna ever stick together? God looked up, looked down, said, just like me. Open the gate, let him in. Because he couldn't answer the question. It's funny, and again, I'm paraphrasing. When you see it on my page, you will see the whole clip. Some of y'all might have seen it on Facebook, Instagram, because people have shared it. But it's a very powerful message. Very powerful. We so caught up in somebody gets something more than us. Then we feel like, if we go in business together or we partner up to do something, or I got a product, you got a product, that we're gonna somehow or another, one of us gonna get over on each other, or one of us gonna make a little more money than the other one. That we won't pull together. We won't support us. I'm gonna tell you what, and all of y'all know that's true. Women, black women. How many? Maybe in Atlanta. But how many of y'all? I'm in North Carolina now. I'm in Fayetteville. How many of y'all go buy hair, weave, and eyelashes, and you bought it from a black person? Another important question is, how many of y'all have ever been doing a fundraiser or something, and you went to the hair place, the Chinese, and they supported what you were doing? I'll wait. When I first retired out the military, 2016, I was doing a landscaping business. I started doing landscaping. The reason why I started doing landscaping, the church, Bethel AM Church in Spring Lake on Vass Road, our Pastor Long, First Lady Michelle Long. At that time was Pastor Atlas. It was people was in the church. We had some new members come in, and we was out doing a lot of community work, what we should in the community in Spring Lake, right? In the less desired areas of Spring Lake. Let's just put it like that. So we started getting the people coming. We would bring their kids in. We were feeding them, and so the parents started coming. And so some of them started joining, start coming to church on a regular basis with their kids. And some of them had some misfortunes in life, weren't able to get a regular job because of their background. I love working in the yard. I love cutting grass and doing stuff like that. So the Lord laid it on my heart to start KNV Landscaping, which is to this day I still have. I don't do no landscaping anymore that often, but I still have it. But anyway, so talked to the pastor and said, hey, we got some people here that, need some jobs, to kind of support themselves. The church was helping them as much as we can, monetary and giving them money to help them out and point them in the right direction, other resources within the community. Okay? So I said, you know what? Let me give these brothers a chance. They come work for me. I pay them a decent salary, hourly wage, or about a job. That way they're making their own money. They feel empowered. And so that's what I did for a long time. It was pretty good for a while. But I met this guy who worked up at the gas station, Indian guy, and we got to be close friends. I like to play blackjack, play my little numbers and stuff. So, long story short, he was telling me, he said, Kelvis, I want you to come up to Cary. I want you to look at some yards. Now, this whole community in Cary, nothing but Indian, they're all family and cousins. Over a 20-year period of time, they have brought ones and twos. They all had gas stations and other businesses. Over a 20-year period of time, they own 50 houses in Cary, beautiful homes. He said, how much would you charge me to do these 50 yards? So we rode around, we talked, I gave him a price. So, okay. He said, every year, somebody in the community, they call the air conditioning heating guy to come out and service the air conditions, summer and winter time. And, we tell them we're going to give them all 50 houses and what kind of price they can give us, right? He said, we pull together. Said, that's how we do things. We pull together as a race, as a group of people, and we take care of each other. And it's just like I said before, everybody seems to have a great concept of that. What's up us? And we some of the smartest people you want to see and you want to deal with. Very smart, educated, wise. But I don't understand why we cannot do that very same thing ourselves. I just don't understand it. Why we can't have our own hospitals, our own communities. And there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of black people out there that's pushing that idea, that concept. I didn't just come up with this overnight. There's many other people that talked about this. The Black Enterprise Network Group out of Atlanta. I heard a lot about them in New York. There's a lot of people out there doing the same thing that I'm talking about on my podcast tonight. But I just wanted to bring it to my audience because it was on my heart. It was on my mind. So these states are ready, y'all. I'm about to take them off and let them rest. Yep. All right, y'all, these steaks are ready. Look at that. And that's how I like my steak. Everybody might not like their steak like mine, but this is how I like mine. So I'm going to take them off. Put them on the plate right here. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do, y'all? I'm gonna cook these asparagus in this right here. Some people might say, "Oh, that's nasty," but I don't care, because I'm eating it. You ain't got to eat it, because I want that flavor. So I'm just throw them in there and let them cook down. Yeah, they might have a little of the crust off of them. That's fine. But that's what I'm gonna do tonight. So I hope that I've said something on my podcast tonight that have inspired somebody or someone to, for one, look at your relationships with your family, with your friends. Look at your relationships with the mother of your kids or the father of your kids. Just think about all the things that goes on in a daily basis that we get so sidetracked with. Kanye West, what he's doing, with this person, celebrity doing, the latest Jordans out, the latest iPhone that came out. All those things are distractions, y'all. Now I got a work phone, iPhone. I'm an Android guy anyway. But I got an old Samsung phone. It's supposed to be one of the newest ones out. But I write it off as a business. So I got it incorporated for my landscaping. And then for this podcast, I incorporated. I got credit cards in my business name already, building the business credit. And my goal is to get everything out of my name and put everything under my business name. I don't want to own anything, but I want to use everything. See, that's something that we haven't been taught. So there's a book out called Passing the Buck. You can look it up. And it goes back and it talks about trust. And I have it. Someone gave it to me. It's a very expensive book. It's not a cheap book. Somebody gave it to him. He shared it with me. And I read that whole book. There's 2 volumes, about 600 pages. But it breaks down a trust from the Knights Templar were the first people to in some fashion, set up a trust. If you don't believe me, go back and do your research, because trust me, this I know for a fact, because I've done a lot of research on this. So when the Knights Templar used to go off and fight the war, the king used to tax them and take their land. So they got smart. As you know, back in the Renaissance time and during that period of time, the church was here. The king dared not touch the high priest. So what they did was they signed their property, their land, over to the high priest, to the church, while they went off and fought the king's battle. When they came back, the church signed their property back over to them, or whatever value, if they had gold or silver. So my point is, don't get so distracted with things going on in the world that you miss what you need to take care of for you and your family. Read. I have a UCC. One of the most powerful things you can do is get a UCC. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I'm 5 miles in the state of Florida. It's kind of hard to do in North Carolina. North Carolina got some, it's part of the original 13 colonies. So they got some crazy rules in North Carolina. But it's been very powerful for me. A lot of information out there, and you can go on TikTok and people talking about stuff. Now you have to do your research. I'm not telling you to go out there and file your UCC. Do your research, and if it's going to benefit you and you can grow from that, then do it. But for me, it's been a blessing. Get your credit straight. Get your LLC. If you're doing something part-time that you love, building or making stuff, or you're doing your own podcast, or you're doing some kind of business, get your LLC. Listen, Warren Buffett, you will find nothing in Warren Buffett's name. Nothing. He got yachts, he got boats, he got houses, he got land everywhere. Rich, they don't put stuff in their name. They put it in shell companies and other things. But they can use it, but they don't own it. So you can't take nothing from them, because they're smart enough to hide it legally. So do your research. Again, I'm not telling you to go out and get a UCC. If you feel like starting your LLC, do your research and see if it benefits you. Okay? But do your research, y'all. Learn how to leverage money. See, we as blacks, we don't know how to leverage money and credit to give our children and ourselves a better quality of life. God didn't put us here to be in bondage, to be wore down with debt and worry all the time and stress. You got to know how to use credit and use money, use a relationship, build a relationship with people in your own community, with your own people. Now, if somebody gonna do you wrong, they may do you wrong. People done me wrong. But don't let it stop you, because for the one person doing you wrong, there's 10 other great people out there that's got the same mindset that you do and is willing to help you. Read, do your research. Let's go into 2023. If you listen to my podcast and you subscribe to me, let's make a conscious decision. First, it's my belief to have a stronger relationship with God. That's foremost for me. I don't know your religion background, but that's for me. Secondly, let's be positive. Let's figure out how we can come together as black people and build businesses and build relationships and buy products from each other and support each other and stop talking about each other. And if you're going to talk about me, then subscribe to my podcast. If you're going to talk about me, buy my shirts, buy my stuff, because I'm going to do the same for you. My information is going to be in the podcast. You can reach out to me. If I can help you any kind of way, I'm always open to help anybody. I allow people to come and shoot their products on my thing. I don't charge them a dime. You know, I've told people, hey, if you want to put your advertising on my podcast, you don't owe me anything, because I want to be a blessing, because my blessing comes from God. My blessing, it does come through the form of man, but God sent my blessing through other people, and I'm blessed. So with that said, y'all, I'm about to close this podcast out. I'm gonna get my cameraman to get a couple shots of these asparagus, and I want y'all to see how they look in this pot here. And we're gonna close this podcast out. So as I close out this podcast, I just want to say a small prayer with you. Father, we come to you as humble as we know how. I ask God that everybody in the sound and in the vision to watch my podcast, that you bless their family and bless them, God. Heal them, touch them in a mighty way. Lord, let them be prosperous as we get ready to go into 2023. May let no weapon formed against them shall prosper, God. God, let this podcast be a blessing to someone. And God, just keep your hand around this earth and keep your hand around my family, God. These blessings we ask in your name. As we close this podcast out tonight, we give you all the honor, all the glory. Amen.